Everybody left me. I am alone. I am so alone. So alone. Nobody's here.
What? What? I'm right here.
You're so alone.
As I walk in, I'm like, what's going on?
Hi, everybody. We'll get started in just a second. I have to change the title and...
Just starting, I'm not even aware. Just doing it live. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I look great.
Start spreading the news. Wait, are we live?
Welcome.
We're live.
Hello.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm just like, oh, okay. Here we
I
are.
didn't get a formal warning.
Yeah, just surprise. Surprise.
It kind of looks like Vipey and I are in the same room, not gonna lie.
And then you just see my face just exploding down here.
I know, dude, that's why I said your camera's the wrong aspect ratio.
Whatever.
I have issues.
There's also a cat on my bed right here.
I'll just back up. I'll just hang out back here.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love I love the Donkey Kong to your left.
Yeah.
He's like, he looks drunk.
Oh, my Lancet.
Alright. Shall we get started? Are you guys ready?
In...
Do you have all of your knowledge? Have you gotten past playing Kael'thas with convection?
You know, convection, it's a good talent. You just gotta know how to do it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Positioning, it's everything.
You walk up, you cast your spell, you start walking backwards. Repeat.
You Hearth right after.
Yeah, get mana. You need mana, and then you go back and you do it again. A lot of the times, like, if I feel like, you know, I'm skilled enough against the opposition, it's like I just don't even worry about it. I don't think they're gonna check. I'm not worried that they're gonna check and be like, oh, he went convection, so we need to kill him. So you know.
Hey, look, I can click on Did's face.
Mm-mm.
You see? I'm clicking on him.
Why are you doing this?
Like the profile.
Do you want me to wear the hat? Here, hold on. Now I disappeared. What's it gonna show in the bottom?
Wait.
Darkness.
It's a sad cat.
That's just the drinking cat.
Sad cat with a drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready. Here I am. Okay. Now I'm ready.
Oh shit! This is the best. You.
So let's talk Heroes Storm.
Wait, I want a hat
Wait.
now.
Wait, you have to like say a line from Blackheart's Bay.
What does he say? I haven't been there in years.
Arr!
Yeah, see, you haven't either.
Booty.
It's like, yeah, we haven't been there in a while. It's not in the ranked rotation.
You could have said anything, and I would have been like, uh-huh.
That's it. Yeah, he's just like, yeah, that's it. That's what he does.
Shiver
Yeah.
me booty.
Shiver me timbers.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this started.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
So welcome to our is it our 9th episode? I think it's our 9th episode of Eye of the Storm. That's crazy. We're your hosts, Kagirii and Vipey, and our guest star today
Yes.
is AlexDidz.
That's
Brr,
me.
brr, 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 brr. I need that thing. Brr, 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 brr. Yeah, there you go. We're gonna be talking about offlane, bruisers, and jungling in Here's the Storm today. And AlexDidz is gonna provide you with all of those correct answers on what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm good.
Why don't you tell us about yourself, Dids, and where we can find you on the interwebs?
I am at twitch.tv/AlexDidz. I stream Here's the Storm almost every morning. I play Dead by Daylight. I host the show called Hearth by Daylight every Thursday on HeroesHearth. I'm also on the Twitterverse, but instead of an L, I think I have to use a 1, or no, instead of the I in Dids, it's a 1 because someone else already has it. So that's me.
You should contact Twitter.
I should.
They'll respond within 5 years.
Within 5 years.
Just in time. Yeah. When will the disconnect happen? Unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. All right, so Bruisers. There are only 2 Bruisers in the game that I have played, and that is Sonya and Artanis. So I don't know much. Didz, why are you flashing?
That's probably because I'm like opening up Hero Storm for a second, actually.
Can you
It's-
not? Are you gonna
What?
turn into the Grudge Lady again?
All right, fine. I'll close.
Oh, Didz! And where's the Titanic song?
Oh, I was like, where are we going with this?
The Titanic one, the really sad one.
Every
And
night
in my dreams, I see you. I feel you. We're so informational tonight.
I swear that the first couple minutes of this stream is going to be so educational.
Are you back? Are you okay? Didz! There's room for 2 of us on the door.
Let's close the program, okay? Listen. All right.
Fine. Well, screw me. I'll float in the water then. Bye.
All right.
For those of you listening to the podcast, we lost Didz for a second there. That's why we were freaking out. But we apologize.
A disconnect.
There it is. You get 1 per stream. Okay. I'm all ears.
Did you open up HOTS?
Closed it.
Oh, you closed it. Okay. So, I don't know much about, like, Dahaka or... I don't know. Who are the other Bruisers? I only think of Artanis and Sonya when I play Bruisers. And those are the only 2 that I play.
I think when people go the Bruiser route, they think of an off-tank, and off-tank is just, like, a character that's melee. It's like someone that's going to sit between, the support, the ranged, and they're somewhere laterally to the tank.
But, like, Kerrigan's melee, but she's not a Bruiser.
True, right. But she, it's just like, well, how do I take it?
Irel. Yeah, there's Irel and Varian on a good day.
The bah lady.
Well, because when I think of, like, I also think of Thrall as a Bruiser, because right now, he's not a melee assassin. He's actually classified as, like, assassin. Or not an assassin, he's a Bruiser, right. And I would think of more as a melee assassin. So it's this kind of gray, nebulous area of the game where an off-tank or a Bruiser can be... It's not really classified that well. Because, sure, like, Kerrigan, she's not... You wouldn't say, like, yeah, Kerrigan's a Bruiser, but, like, I think for me, when I think of a Bruiser, I think of, like, a character that can potentially tank really well, or can take, like, damage, or they can create enough, like, aggression and aggro. They can put out a lot of CC and damage, and then they can get a lot of attention on themselves, so they can help pull attention away from other squishies that definitely won't survive.
Like Vala.
Because Kerrigan now has the 13 talent where she goes into, like, her little cocoon thingy.
Oh yeah,
And
I forgot about that.
People will throw everything. People throw everything in the kitchen sink at her, and then she just uses that. And then it completely, like, just throws off everything. It just crushes. And I've seen it. I've played against it multiple times, and I've been like, holy crap, that's a great Kerrigan ability now.
I feel like I think the Bruiser category is kind of like throwing heroes in there that have sustain or shield of some sort. Everyone, that's what they're categorizing at this point, which doesn't make them an offlaner. Like, not, at least not all of them, in my mind, I guess.
Well, offlaning, I don't really think of, like, winning the matchup anymore so much, because it's like the rotation doesn't have Braxis. Like, the biggest thing about offlaning is just not dying.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to, like, beating whoever you're against, that's just like a bonus. You're like, oh crap, I just killed that person, like, they're gonna miss some soak. But when you die, it's just like the amount of pressure in the solo lane because then you have someone leaving the 4-man to go up, and then it's a 3-man, and if the enemy team realizes that, then they press the advantage and take, control, whatever. So
okay. So let's talk about. So you basically told us what a bruiser is, like what their role is, basically, to try and help out with the tank. Because if you have like multiple people going on your back line, then you at least have someone else who is beefy enough to, double team the back line. So I know we talked about offlaning in prior episodes, but let's talk about the offlaning, exactly how important it is in the early game, and let's explain what you were just talking about the 4-man rotation, and then your bruiser or melee assassin that's thrall, that's kind of in the bruiser area in the offlane. Let's explain what's going on there.
Okay, so if you're going through, it sounds like the draft phase. What is the draft phase? So everyone has some role highlighted, or they said they're gonna do, and for sure someone's gonna tank and someone's gonna support. Those are two things that are like, that's the game. And then there's all these other things, and you want like a ranged sustained damage, like a Rainer. You probably want a Kel'Thas, and then there's the 5th pick. And this is when things get interesting, because there's tons of different things you could put in the offlane. And that's when draft knowledge is super vital, because you could put Falstad because he's a global, but then he's also squishy. You could put the Haka, which would be a great choice, which has a global and he's definitely tanky. Or you could put Thrall, but maybe Thrall's not a great choice because that's too much squish. Because he's a smaller character. You can only put out so much aggression. Yeah.
Someone in chat said you could even put Phoenix in the offlane.
Absolutely. Phoenix is a great character, because it's not so much of a health pool problem. He loses shielding and then he replenishes it. So it's not even really so much matching up against. I mean, you could go ahead and be like, you know what? If I see a Chen in the solo lane, I want to pick Rexar so Misha could continuously stun him. Or if there's a Dahaka, I can pick Leoric, or if it's Chen, I can go Leoric. But you gotta pick carefully, because it's like you could win early on in the laning phase, the 1v1, if your role in the game is a solo laner, or you could be thinking the bigger picture, which is, how is my pick going to influence the team fight once we're at level 10? Because once you hit 10, the map opens up. There's probably an objective or two has already been completed, and you're looking to just kind of group up with your team, unless you're a global, in which things kind of differentiate.
So, go ahead.
So you're basically looking for a hero that can wave clear effectively, either support themselves with heals, or just kind of like basically soak the lanes without having to worry about winning the lanes.
Yeah, I think well, it's wild, because you could go so many different routes. Like, I could keep going on with, like, you could do this or you could do that, but it all comes down to the draft, because that's when you really that's when you paint the picture of how the game will be.
Yeah. Because even TTWOW in chat says that you could even put some tanks in the solo lane, like Arthas or even Blaze. But then would you have 2 tanks? Is Arthas and Blaze, are they beefy enough to be solo tanks?
Absolutely.
Even Blaze? Because I remember Blaze used to be classified as a bruiser, right?
Blaze is now a tank. Okay. He's now listed as a tank. Yep.
He has strong engage, he has strong CC, and he has strong self-sustain. I mean, the only time that I ever looked and picked Blaze and freaked out is when they have an Ana. Just because all of his sustainability is just cut right out as soon as she just knocks it out of the park. So if there's no other problem, that and maybe Stukov, he's pretty strong. He can hold his own for a pretty long time. And even now, I mean, my personal preference, combustion over bunker half the time.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
it just brings so much more to the table. It brings you kind of a pseudo slow, and the poison damage is just poison damage is insane. You know?
And Blaze is he could be a tank or a solo laner because he has self sustain, he has wave clear, he has CC, he has huge AoE ult now, and his trait ability is actually pretty insane because it grants him 40 armor for something like 4 seconds. So he's got plenty of stuff there to make him really exceptional, like wherever you plan on putting him, tank or offlane.
Yeah.
So what's the importance of the offlane in terms of the early phase of the game?
I will just keep preaching this over and over and over because it's too important. Not dying, just soaking, because it's like I said. Sure, you could lose the 1v1. Like, it depends on the map. Braxis and BOE, Braxis more so. Braxis is very, very hard on the solo lane. But BOE is just kind of like, you just kind of sit around till 4 and then the Immortal comes down. But it's just not dying and soaking. And I think the big thing, too, is that if you're in the solo lane, you need to be looking at your mini-map. You need to be seeing where other people are, because there's always the cheeky character that meanders off from the 4-man and comes up and ganks you, and then that's when you're already behind.
The mini-map, the new feature that they just added?
Yes! The new feature and Hero Store, that is,
I would say if you want to, like, be very aware, or, like, teach yourself to be very aware of the map, I would try to start solo laning. But, like, do it in a quick match or something. Because you have to be very hyper aware of what your 4-man is doing, which we still have to talk about. We still have to talk about the 4-man. But what was I gonna say? We were talking about so I have an example of you being an offlaner but not necessarily winning your lane. So if I play Artanis a lot. And I'm often matched up with Imperius, and Artanis sucks. He loses against Imperius. Like, it's just it's horrible. So I will just play it safe near my towers in the top tower and let the minions come to me.
Sure.
HOTS is about being strategic and not being too aggressive in the early game, because you have to. Well, we'll get to that later, but it is okay to play the passive in the top lane if you are the offlaner, I would say, if you don't win the matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better to do that than to die, because like Did says, if you die, you lose soak, you have to have people break away from your 4-man, and you starts going into chaos a little bit. So let's talk about the 4-man and what happens there when you have someone in an off lane.
So the 4-man, their operation is just to rotate typically between mid and bot lane, or they do a 1-3, and that's just clearing out the lanes, soaking XP. The quicker you can rotate and clear out lanes, the more opportunities that you're granted as a team, because then you can start to look at interrupting the enemy team's rotations and taking camps. And that's when things start to get really spicy, and then it goes on from there. That leads into the objective.
So when should you look to start taking camps in the early game?
The moment the camp spawns, if DPS is aware enough, as they should be. I mean, constantly looking at the new feature, said minimap. Someone should be walking away to go and do that.
What about like in the offlaner? Because you're supposed to be. I remember I was talking about in a previous episode about the offlaner getting a camp, and then I think I got yelled at by Trixler. I don't remember, but apparently you're not supposed to leave, or you're obviously supposed to tell one of your other teammates to, hey, I need to go get this camp. But then it's go ahead, Vipey.
I'm just saying it's a sticky situation, because it's kind of like if you're on BOE, you're playing Artanis in the solo lane, and you want to grab a camp, then you kind of just have someone body soak for you, while you're doing that if you need to. Like, there are some situations where that can work, but depending on the map.
But isn't that breaking away from the 4-man though?
Yeah, it depends on what your team, like early game, like it just depends on what your team's objective is to do. Like if you have
like
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, if you're Artanis and you're in the solo lane, if you're crushing your lane well enough and the minions are crashing into the enemy team's wall, you could like walk over to the goats and you could just take one out and go back to lane and soaks, and then there's two there. Like, just in that small amateur opponent, you could probably take out one, walk back over. And the thing about Artanis players I notice is that they'll be able to swap back and then just swap the enemy away from if they get onto the point. Because they have just enough time to like shoot that person back over like the wall of BOE, right. And then it's just like they take it. But
I never thought about getting the minions one at a time.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's like one of the things I was thinking about as we were discussing is like offlane matchups are so peculiar because just because your character might get outright, countered by whatever you're against, there's still an opportunity. There's still a chance that you might win because just on paper, the matchup would suggest this or that. That player might not be able to, do everything. They might not be able to min-max that character like you can on your solo laner.
Right.
So, like, if you're Artanis and you're against a Tychus, for whatever reason, they're like, we're going to put Tychus in the solo lane. And, you manage to attack him and get him to use minigun, like, you're fighting him while he's off, on cooldown, that's what I'm trying to say. Then you could beat him. You could beat him in the 1v1.
Yeah. Or if he just sucks at Tychus.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. But because like people, there's so many times where let's just say, the enemy team goes Cho'Gall, and I'm just like, oh, well then we need to pick Karazim, we need to pick, Leoric, Tychus, and then we overload on these Cho'Gall counters, but nobody actually knows how to play them. So then you lose just because of losing. Like, you don't have that experience. You're not tenured on this characters.
Yeah. So like in draft, you could accidentally force your players to play heroes that they don't always play, and that's when you lose. Even though it's a good comp, you would still lose.
Go on.
No, I'm gonna say I'm the one person, and I think I said before, don't force someone to play something they're not gonna play because you need it.
That's
I would rather put them on a hero that might not fit our comp, but they can play well, and that will benefit your team more than saying, "Oh, if someone told me to play Tychus, they would be probably crippling the entire team."
Yeah, it's just like
I'll be like, "Am I doing it, Mom? Am I doing it? I'm doing it right."
Yeah.
No, it's like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this hero's not my playstyle. I would rather put someone on what they know.
Yeah.
Overall.
Like, draft lobby, two great tools is just, match profile or the character, the player's profile and the match history. You could gain a ton of information. You could figure out where they are mentally, if they're winning or losing, and you could find out what they're great at and what they're not good at. And
usually though, when I have someone look at the profile picture of anybody on our team though, it's usually them going, "Oh great, this guy sucks. We're going to lose now." Like, they don't look to see this person's strengths in terms of heroes. They look at the bad and automatically assume, "Oh god, we're gonna lose."
Mute people. Mute them.
I know. I need to work on that.
That's another great tool. Muting people. It instantly puts your focus on what's important, and that's the game and winning.
Before we get too far, Art in chat was asking, what do you do when teammates go to a camp after an objective is spawned, like on Towers of Doom? It really is a risky thing to do, but you want to try and direct your team in the most polite way. I'd say the most hindering camps that people do at the most inconvenient times is probably like Battlefield of Eternity, like going for the shaman camp when it literally is not the right time.
I would say that's worse late game on Battlefield of Eternity than it is early game. Immortal doesn't do that much, and you can I mean, unless your team is all melee, then that would suck.
if if it's on Towers of Doom and you have a keep down and they're not gonna contest it, it might be a okay thing to do. But sometimes you just want to kind of let them, kind of give them the polite retreat ping about 17 times, and they might go and stop doing it. It just depends on the situation.
I think it's, you gotta kind of get a quick feel of the pace of your team, because some teams they gotta be, and they get in rhythm, and they all go to take a camp. They rotate together. Things are just like that game where just everything is clicking. And then there's the games where it takes a minute for the team to establish how they function as a whole. Because, there's times on Towers of Doom where there's 15 seconds before the altar spawns, and I'm like, let's take this camp, because I know just how quickly Jaina can throw her Blizzard. Raynor can, cue them together so it's bunched up, and then it's just like, it's done. It can be managed so quickly. It's just, you have to get a feel for how a team is functioning.
Yep. Like if you're having like a Deckard Cain soloing the camp, and you might want to like.
Right. Yeah. Well, but see, like that's a thing too, because sometimes as a tank, I'll just sit there and I'll attack it, and I'll be like, look, I'll do that. Like,
I'm getting this camp.
Yeah. Because it's what I know is what has to be done, and
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes in my book, it's just easier to do what your team wants to do than fighting the current. If like two of them are doing it, they might as well just go do it with them, because you'd rather die together than die alone and be your fault because you were there to help.
True. Yeah.
Leia, back.
And as for win rates, like checking profiles, like we were saying, like it's so hard. Anyone who's listening or watching, I would just say do not look at someone's win rate on a hero unless it's god awful. But like and judge it, because the thing about Heroes of Storm is it does not reset that. Like, say you're looking at Chen right now and going, oh my god, this person has a 40% win rate on Chen. That was Chen before and after rework and changes and et cetera, et cetera. Also, it's like you can look at direct like Storm League or Quick Match what their win rate is. So don't look too much at it and judge that by their playstyle.
That's true.
Judge by what the purpose of the hero is. Like, if you obviously need a tank, don't let them pick a Bruiser, kind of direct them in the right direction. But for win rate stuff, it's hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen it done many a times. Just when someone goes, "Hey, could you do this?" in the draft lobby, like, "Hey, I see that you're good at this. Could you play this?" People are totally receptive to that. I've noticed more times than not. People just like, "Okay," and it just happens. And it's like, wow, that was easy.
Just make it positive.
Yeah, I will literally say in chat, like, those people come into your drafts and they go, I don't play tank. Like, that's
okay.
Whoa. I'll go with it. Well, with the new feature, it's kind of nice. I kind of look at it and go, okay, maybe they don't. But I'll legit just say, like, hey, I'm not the best tank. If I have to, I'll do it. But just letting you guys know, not my forte. So, but now with the new feature, it kind of dwindles that out of the way. But sometimes it's the more polite way you say it, the more receptive they'll have of putting you in the right, hero category.
Yeah. Importance of actually picking heroes that you are good at. Let's talk about, since we're talking mostly about early game, let's throw in the importance of soaking and how it can benefit your team late game, because there are times when I play the game and everybody, like, for a few weeks, the entire community remembers how to soak. And then there's those few weeks where everybody forgets that soaking even exists. Like, HOTS is not the same as League. It has a different objective. Well, okay, it has the same big objective, end goal. It has the same end goal, kill the other person's core. But it has different objectives, different XP gain. You gain it as a group instead of as individuals. And different ways of dealing with that. Gaining the XP. So let's talk about that.
Sure. I think one thing I've noticed, I've been playing MOBAs for over 10 years. I started with Dota. The one thing that will never, ever go away is just the fascination of going to kill the enemy heroes, or the enemy team. that's why people want to play DPS. They just want to kill heroes. They just want to go out there, find them, kill them, whatever. And in Heroes of the Storm, we're talking about how, you just sit near minions that are dying and then you get the soak. Which isn't, that's not fun. You're playing the video game to have fun. But soaking is literally just investing in the rest of your game. It's investing in the mid game, it's investing in the late game, because the only way you're going to get there is if you're soaking, because sure, you get nice pockets of XP from, killing the enemy team, but, the reality is like that your income of XP essentially, like your gold in League of Legends or Dota, what have you, is just, the soak. There's no other way that you're going to get there unless you're soaking. It's just like, because, like you can, rotate on the enemy team, get picks. But even then, if they put, like, say, Jaina completely pushed out the mid lane, and so her minion wave is pushing into your gate, and you go up and, like, she's rotating down, you kill her, you're still missing all that soak. She still managed to just completely clear that out, and then it's just like, well, you don't get that back. Like,
yeah, because XP helps your team grow, and if your team can't grow, you obviously lose in the XP race early game. It's really hard to come back in the XP race unless you are able to get a team wipe. But then again, if you are down in a talent tier, it's really hard to do that because they have special abilities that your team doesn't. It's happened. Comebacks are, 6.5 out of 10. Comebacks are good in Heroes of the Storm. It's one of the many reasons why I absolutely love this game, because it could be one, point on a tower in Towers of Doom, and you have like 20 points, or they have 20 points on their tower, and you can win. Like, you can hold that off. But like, I like what Alex said, to invest in your team. That's literally what you're doing, because it's not a solo game. It's a team game. Right. So, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Oh, that's great.
It was a really exciting game. We had like one shot left on our core, we had one shot, they had 20, and we ended up winning. So it's not over until someone's core dies. So,
it's a true thing. Like, never give up, because you don't know, like, your team can scale, and they can make a mistake. Some teams get some teams get overconfident towards the end of the match, and they start making selfish rotations to get these fun kills. They don't realize they're really, really messing up hardcore.
Yeah, I think the most simple, effective strategy when you're playing with random players is that you want to rotate quickly, you want to clear out lanes, and when you have those two things happening, when you're clearing out lanes and rotating quickly as a team, then you can look for getting picks and getting camps. And then that's when they start to miss rotations, and that's when you start to build a lead.
Go ahead.
It goes to the same point of, like, sometimes, like, right now with the way everything is working, it's just slow and steady. Sometimes wins the race, because if you're getting slowly pushing out lanes, or late game, this becomes, like I said it before when I was streaming last night, it becomes a chess game towards the end of the game. It's all about who makes the wrong mistake and who gets checkmated first at the end, especially if you're on equal playing fields with keeps and forts, stuff like that. Even then, it's just about who makes the wrong footing. And it can all go down from there.
Yeah, it's like you're looking at the mini map. If it's completely red, you should probably be back. If it's pretty blue, then chances are you can maybe get close to the middle of a lane before, a rotation occurs or something like that.
If you don't see any heroes on the map, chances are you don't want to be anywhere without yourself.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
That's why you should probably be looking at the minimap 99.9% of the time you're playing this game. Unless you're in a team fight. Because, it's just so bad when you don't look at the minimap. HOTS is hard. It's a hard game. It's easy to get into, but it's hard to, like, really, because it's mental too. Because you got people on your team that you don't know, that you gotta have help figure out, you know, what they're good at, what they're bad at, where they are mentally, how many games they've lost, how tilted are they. Like, it's a really tough game to play. So, go ahead, Vipey.
I would say it's just about, honestly, training yourself overall. Like, it's just mentally training yourself to, like, when you're, unless you live in Florida, like myself, and when you're driving in the car, you're most likely looking in your rearview mirrors just nonchalantly because you're checking around you. It's the same thing with your mini map and with where in your team is at. It's just kind of like training your brain to keep looking, and as a streamer as well, it's you have game, mini map, chat, game, mini chat. You kind of keep it. It's just a training your brain to get that motion going and just kind of like nonchalant, just look, and it helps you better yourself because you're not a liability anymore for your team, especially if you're a solo laner. If you die, you are breaking your 4-man, and you're also just losing the soak, and 2 lanes you're losing plus your death is gonna cost your team a good chunk. It could put you in an 8-10 situation, you know. And
always look 3 cars ahead in traffic.
And like, to be completely honest, you probably should be looking at the mini map more often than you are at your current situation. Because you can gather more information from the mini map than what's immediately in front of you most of the time.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, where's the clump of heroes on the map? And it's like, oh, they're there. Well then, if I'm not near that, then I'm fine.
Yep, exactly. It'll allow you to, it'll be able to say you're on Towers of Doom, you see everyone in the bottom lane. Allow you to take the top camp. Well, because that map is very sick. The lane, at least, the camp is so close to the lane, you're not going to really lose too much soak we get in that camp, especially if the whole entire other 4-man plus maybe the soul laner is gone, you know. So knowing where the enemy team's at will give you an advantage immediately, regardless of what you're doing overall.
So we talked about, you know, the soaking.
Yes.
But I also want to talk about map control, which is also known as macro play. Did you go,
No, I went, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So compared to League, macro play is way more impactful in Heroes than League.
No doubt.
Yeah. So I want to say, like, in Heroes, yes, you're playing the enemy team, and yes, every so often you team fight. But, like, the macro play is really the end game, I want to say, in terms of, like, really taking control and making sure you get that soak on top of the enemy team. Like, you're constantly getting talent tiers ahead of the enemy team and stuff. So yeah, let's talk about macro play and explain exactly what that is and how you constantly stay one up on the enemy team.
Well, guess what? It starts from lane soaking, because as I was saying, and where I've been, is like, if you can clear that lane quickly enough as a team, rotate quickly enough, force the enemy team to have to hurry up to get to soak, that's when you can catch someone off guard. You can get a pick, and then you could go take a camp, or you could go take a camp and then you can go get a pick. Like, you have options, but it's a matter of doing it quickly, having someone to just take the initiation and just go for it. Paint the map blue. As Alaric has pointed out in the chat, timing is also incredibly important depending on the map. If it's Battlefield of Eternity, you probably want to go take the one particular camp right before it starts, so then it's marching to the wall as halftime occurs.
The shaman camp, right, in the center?
Right. Yes. I know Infernal Shrines is a particular map that's camp dependent in the bottom. Like, that's a map that if you rotate quickly enough and you get a pick, you can immediately invade their side of their goats. And then you could work from there, you can go to the middle one, and then you could go to the one in the back. So it's just like, you work your way forward, then work your way back once you have that advantage, the one man up, the 4v3, once you've gotten a pick or what have you.
It's similar to like Dragon Knight. I think Dragon Knight has the most impactful camping because it's just like it forces them to have to respond to them, and it kind of makes the objective a little more spicy to kind of get it like.
Yeah, if you get the Bruiser in the night camp to like match up, or the siege camp to like pair up at the same time and head towards that keep, that's devastating.
I mean, even if you steal their side, it's fantastic. It just takes down the fort with no issues.
Yeah.
But that also comes in play of looking at the minimap and knowing that you can take their camp.
Yes.
And Hanamura is also a map in rotation. That's a huge deal on taking camps. So it's like you want to have someone that can take camps, like a Rexar, a Varian, Artanis. You send someone from your foreman to go cover the soak, and they go down to the it's like the site camp, and then they work their way back to the samurai or to the turret, and then they just keep going and going.
I mean, that map is... Camps are the objective of that map.
They're
not
even,
the payload's a bonus.
That's what
true.
I was playing on that girls' team league with Jazzy last Friday, and that's the first time... Like, I've played on Hanamura multiple times, but that's the first time I actually ever heard somebody say that the samurai is the objective. She's obviously right. And I was like, oh my god, that's like the epiphany. Like my mind was blown. Like, you are so right. Like, this thing is just, it's so much better than like grabbing the payload, because the payloads, they do damage to the towers, to the walls, and to the healing fountain. Like, because in shrines, do the lasers do damage to the healing fountains or just the towers?
It should damage everything in its path.
Even the healing walls? Why don't I remember that?
It targets the wall, the gate, the fountain, the keep, the fort, everything. Other than those side walls, hits everything else. I mean, the samurai is one of the one camps. The samurai, I will repeat this: the samurai is the one camp in the entire game you cannot ignore. It will take out your entire lane and get your keep wall if you do not respond to it. It is a very, very strong objective.
It'll make you wish you were never born.
It's incredibly strange it made it to live the way that it is.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking earlier today on the Heroes Hearth Ready Up. Me and Coffee and Warrock were talking about how Sylvanas, Mercenary Queen, it was Mercenary Queen, used to empower the samurai. They took that out. But there's a few clips of her pushing with the samurai, and it just does double the massive damage. It was insane. But they took it out.
Fun fact though, before you get too far, for Sylvanas players, take Mercenary Queen when there's turrets on the map.
Yep.
Please.
The turrets get massive. They get thick.
They become bastions.
I think it's like an elite mercenary. The samurai camp is like, it's an elite mercenary, so it doesn't get affected.
Yeah. It's considered like a boss now.
Yes.
A mini boss.
Yeah.
But it's an elite mercenary on like one of the smallest maps.
The one thing that's so funny, I didn't test it, don't hold me on this, but last night when I was playing Garrosh, I was a Garrosh main last night for some reason, the samurai with the friendly throw had an emblem on it. I didn't test to throw it, but I don't know if you can throw it now. It's kind of interesting.
You mean with Garrosh?
Yeah, it had it.
Well, I have to find out.
Find out. Like, I literally was like, I saw the blue emblem and I was like, it was in the clutter of all the other minions, so I was like, I'm not gonna just waste this throw. But I was like, I wonder, because it's kind of like, I don't know if the new patch came out, because I know you can pull Diva Bomb now with Anduin's life grip, which is hilarious, by the way. Because when you're in danger, you're just like, to me, it's like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. And on Hanamura to add, if you do a team wipe, or like 4 of their 5 or even 3 of their 5 are dead with long timers, advance to their side of the camps, especially if your team's alive and healthy. Like, taking their camps and then going to yours is the primary thing, because they'll have to respond to the samurai, they'll have to respond to the other camps they're taking in the middle. Divisions, you have the entire middle of that map. If you have both divisions, you have everything, because they can't walk around that circle. There's no way they can just kind of sneak in. So
Yeah.
if you play that map correctly with the camps, you'll win overall. That's the
You always have to be opportunistic. Here's
Yeah.
the Storm is all about opportunity. Like what can we do in our current moment? Are we going to soak this lane? Are we going to clear? Are we going to do a camp? Are we looking to get a gank? What can we do with the tools, essentially? We have all these characters. What can we all do together? What opportunity can we take? Yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, I literally just wanted to add like really nice music behind that. Like, here's the Storm is optimistic. I can't even say the word. Like, it was literally like I wanted like little like like that soft music, like that inspirational music in the background as you're talking. I was like, yes,
you can do it.
Do anything you want in life.
Well, when I am not the tank and I'm a DPS player and there's some place I want to go, there's two things that can happen. I start to head over to it, and then the tank follows, and we make it work. Or I end up just going in and dying, and then like everyone arrives too late, and I'm peeved because I'm like, well, this is what we should have done because, we're trying to make more happen. I mean, you can play passively, and it will sometimes work, but the teams typically that are looking to get things done make it happen. They're the teams that typically get the win.
I wanted to answer this question before we moved any further. Alfarin in chat asks, how is Sylvanas in the offlane?
I would not suggest putting her in the offlane just because her push potential with teammates is too strong. It's not that she couldn't do that, but her trait value is too strong. Sylvanas is what you want to end up doing with her is that you kind of swap out someone so that she can kind of do a sneaky play. Like, well, there's like a 5v4, or you guys are distracting. Sylvanas is pushing with the camp and taking out like the wall or the fort or something ridiculous. Like, she really amplifies a camp pushing situation with Merc Queen.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got like lost in thought there. I was like, Sylvanas. I was like thinking about her, like what I could do. Sylvanas.
Wow. Drawing in your notebook.
Yeah.
Kagirii heart Sylvanas. I remember. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. So in Discord, actually, Kaiberries wanted me to ask you, Didz, how strong is Sonya right now?
Sonya, character I've never been great as, but I've always respected great Sonyas. She's always been a solid option in the offlane. She's someone that she has self-sustain, she can clear the lane, she could go take a camp, she's great in team fights. She pretty much has it all. She doesn't really have something really, that's her main weakness. People will say what they want when it comes to just ranked gameplay. We're not looking at what HGC was. She's always been solid with what she can do, what she can provide to the team. And once she gets 10 with Wrath of the Berserker, she has CC reduction and damage increase, which is just like, oh, let's just amplify what she does even more. And that's when you get hit there by the Ancient Spear and squish, she's dead, or what have you. But
I feel like she's bad against any silences though. Like
fair, but
Stukov and Alarak.
I always get a little bent out of shape when people are like, oh, well, this character's countered by this. I'm like, it's just like, oh, this character's countered by stuns. And it's just like, well, yeah,
every character is countered by but there's a counter and then there's a hard counter, right?
But see,
her self-sustain is her, like, actually using her W. Like, if she can't do that, she can't heal herself.
I don't like to head down that route of like, oh, well, we can't do this because this is now countered, or like our team comp is completely in peril because they did this, and what are we gonna do? I don't like to get my team thinking on that page. It's more of like, how are we just gonna get it done?
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's more about just it's more about being proactive about looking at what they pick a Muradin and they have a stun. Like, say you're playing Anduin, you want to pick Salvation. They have a Muradin and I don't know, Stukov Cylance, and you want to use Salvation. you hold it for as long as you can until you see both of those are on cooldown, and then you blow your ultimate. It's all about when to do it and when not to do it.
Perfect.
To get any value out of it.
Yes,
You know.
that's perfect. And that's and it's the way you look at it. It's like what your game knowledge consists of, and it's just like, well, crap, I can do that. That makes sense. I just hold it, and then it's just like, wow, like after everything's already down, I've held my heroic, and now I cast it, and it wins the fight.
Except when you're playing Chen, you're versing a Murden, you think you got all the stuns out of the way, and then Skullcracker comes into play.
Yeah, it's just like all of a sudden, yeah. But like, yeah, it's and sometimes we even get a little too ahead of ourselves with like the cooldown. I don't know if I should use my heroic because of the cooldown. If I, will I have it up in time for a moment that I should use it? And I think if I could give someone, the question that hasn't been asked, is what I'm putting out here right now. Just cast your heroic. Just do it. Just use your heroic. Don't doubt yourself. Just do it. If you need to save a teammate, if you're casting salvation for one person, just do it. Just go ahead and do it.
Do it.
Well, you know what? I speak for myself because like there's times where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should do this or not, but then it's just like more times than not. Like with Light Bomb, it's a 60-second cooldown.
Yeah.
But it's hella value. You can cast it on yourself, walk right up to someone and bop them, and then everyone throws what they have on that person, they're dead. That's a kill.
Yep.
The way I look at it is if you get a kill for using your heroic, value.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say if you're using an ultimate, you get a kill for it. That's fine. And the same thing with your ultimate. Like, I pick my ultimates based on what their uses are gonna be. Like, if I'm picking Salvation, 9 out of 10 times, there's a Last Rites, there's a Pyroblast, there's something that will kill my teammate that I'm gonna use that for. That's when I'm gonna use it. I don't care what the situation is. Even if my teammate stepped way out of bounds, that's what I picked it for, and it's gonna save somebody somewhat. If you save a teammate using an ultimate, that's what it's for. Not for some amazing moment where you're like, play of the game and you save the entire team from a nuclear explosion. No, it's just.
It's like I see Rhaegar's holding their ult, the ancestral healing, and they see them like 3 times in a row. It's just barely connect. Like it just doesn't. Like it's like, and it just doesn't happen, and because the person's dead. And it's just like, if you see him at 40% health, go ahead, do it.
Yep. Like I will trust Kai Berries with a life binder.
Absolutely.
Anything. I will sit there and go, I'm fine. I got this.
Yes. She knows exactly how to do that. Yep.
It's all about just knowing that moment, and sometimes people just want that clutch heal. Like a Rhaegar player wants that clutch heal, and they'll be like, "Oh, they're at 1%, ancestral," and then you're like,
"Nope,
dead," and she's like, "Never mind."
Exactly, I agree.
It's all about just that moment, and just knowing your hero, and knowing your limitations. And your enemies.
Always know your enemies. Your enemies are your best friends. So I actually had a question earlier. Jungling and HOTS. I feel like there's not really anything similar to jungling compared to League. So let's just talk about, I guess, let's roll it back and talk about the heroes who should be getting the camps. Don't rush me, Didz. I swear to God.
We're pulling it back.
Oh, that's you pulling it back. I thought you're like, come on, get it out, because I was talking slow.
Jesus. Yeah.
My
hands are down. I'm not gonna do any more gestures.
I just always assume Didz is trolling me. It's a good thing. Stop assuming the worst of this man. Kid Kerrigan, when you have dealt with what I have dealt with, you always have to have your guard up. That's okay. No, Didz is like my brother. He's a good guy. Anyways, okay. So jungling. What are the heroes in Here's the Storm that could potentially pass for junglers or getting camps when needed? Junglers, yeah.
Junglers. You got.
Yeah, we have more pretty forests in Here's the Storm.
Yes.
Not really like.
Well, some maps are incredibly particular because it's just a giant map of cans, like Garden into Terror and Hanamura. So actually investing in a character that just do camps is a pretty great draft idea. As long as there's something that can later on kind of just like segue back into your team comp. Like they just later on, they just kind of click, and then it's just like, all right, we're going to bring this back in, and it's going to serve us in a huge team fight, the 5v5. So I think of Sonya, I think of Rexar, I think of Artanis, Greymane, Illidan. Those are like, and Varian.
What about Rhaegar? Rhaegar can get camps.
But I'm thinking like just like that's their whole role. Like that's you could just be like, all right, we're sending you out there to do camps. Who do we got?
Go out into the world.
Yeah, it's just because they self-sustain, they do enough damage quickly enough, or they have talents that particularly are suited for taking out camps. And you know, the big difference if we're going for the league comparison is that like the moment you get the camp, it actively does something. It's not just like, whoop, I earned the reward. It's you get a chunk of XP for that camp, and then they start pushing. And once they start pushing, it starts to deny the enemy team XP from your own minions because they're going to get killed by towers.
Yeah. And it's hard to say because back in the day, like camp capturing almost every map had a specific time to do it, and now in most maps it's just like take as many camps as you can at every time you possibly can. There's only some certain maps that have clutch moments that make a huge difference. But at this point, it's just like, you get a camp, and we're gonna get a camp, and we're all gonna get camps, and that's all we're gonna do, you know?
And I think it's one of the cheesiest mechanics that still exist, in my opinion, is bribe. I think bribe is a talent that should get removed because it makes people do ridiculous things. It's like when you see the Falstead, your Falstead flies across the map.
What was that?
Yeah,
a bird!
And then everyone's already there, and like he'll bribe both of them, and then he gets killed, and then they just bribe.
My favorite is when you're just sitting out of nowhere, and you see in the corner is Brightwing just going.
Yeah, the ulti. Yeah, they're just like they pixie dust themselves, and they're just fluttering over.
Yep, and then you see them the camp taken, and they Z away for no reason whatsoever, and wasted their heal, and you're just like. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you just use like 17 different things just to get a camp that you didn't really need to die in 2 seconds. It's
right.
The only hero that I think it's fun to have bribe on is Vikings because it's really not easy to get the bribe stacks on it on most maps, but it's fun. But I don't think it's necessary.
It's just like you send Eric to park next to the siege giants while everyone's doing the tribute on Cursed Hollow, and it's just like eating up the wall, and you're just like. Yeah, this is going great. Just keep doing your thing over there, guys. And yeah, he's a trooper, but
he's a good old friend.
And one of the things that I never hear people talk about exclusively on this program, you have to actually capture the camp, which creates unique team fights over the the camp capture.
Yeah.
You know, League of Legends, you just kill it, and it's.
Yep.
You know, and if it's the Baron, you just smite it. Like whoever can smite it first. But the fact that they made it so that you have to hold the point is just like a tug of war battle.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's only her, but I think Nova's bribe is the most interesting and cheesiest bribe ever because when you bribe with hers, it actually reduces the spawn rate timer.
Yeah.
If you use both bribes on it, and it's like. So it's like you get a siege camp and it goes to like a 45-second cooldown. And you're just like, what?
Wait, I've never noticed that.
That's it's such a weird one.
So then she can bribe them faster? Well, assuming she has stacks.
It's literally just if you bribe the whole camp with bribe stacks.
Yeah.
It gives it a reduced cooldown. So on certain maps, like picking Nova, lol. But like depending on the map, but if you do like Towers of Doom, it makes it like a crazy, ridiculous return rate for those stupid pumpkins, you know. But in reality, it's just a weird extra mechanic that you look over and the camp's already up again. You're like, oh, what? You know, and it's weird. It's weird. It's weird.
Is it weird?
It's weird. That's it.
Are you sure?
Weird. Yeah.
It's weird.
It's a. In this day and age, it is a weird type of thing.
That's weird.
That's like transatlantic accent. Love
You're
it.
doing great, sweetie. Mama loves you. But the mechanic is very strange, especially when it's like camps now have just become so nonchalant. Everyone gets a camp. You know, everyone has one, and they're always on cooldown half the time. And if they're not, it's probably because your team's not looking. You know. But because there's certain, the only map that I think, like I said before, is an interesting mechanic for camps is probably like, you know, other than like Towers of Doom and stuff like that, actually have functionality for win potential. It's like Dragonshire. It literally adds a little more like team fight mechanic because you have the shielding in lane with you, and it's kind of
no, the spell shield.
Yeah, it makes
so toxic.
Trust me, try playing KTZ and sitting there and going, I got a whole combo, they're gonna die. And it's like,
Ashamalore. Yeah.
My name is AlexDidz, and I take convection.
We're not talking about that. Listen, but you brought up a great point about the spell shield, because team fighting into enemy teams like mercs and minions it's such an oversight. Like, people don't think about it. People are like, sure, I just see 5 other heroes and there's 5 of us, and it's just like, yeah, but they have siege giants, the bruisers, and they also have like, you know, 20 minions in the lane.
Yeah,
but the minions are lethal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are. Oh my god, there is literally like, go ahead.
Are you asking if there are spell shields on mercs, Alfarin? There is. One gives the mercs...
The Rose Wizard.
Yeah.
The Rose Mage. Yeah.
He gives all of the other mercs... Oh. Okay, my bad.
What is the question?
I'm just making sure he knows that that one of the actual mercs gives all the other mercs a spell shield. So you have to kill that merc first.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's always a priority.
I mean, even in fun fact too, whenever you're taking the camp, it gives the merc spell shield. So if you're a mage dealing damaged hero or whatever, kill the mage first. It'll make your camp doing skills much better. It makes it go a lot quicker.
Throw in a little bit of butter and stir for taste. Sorry.
You're adorable.
Didz is just like, what is happening?
No, this is great.
Aren't you glad you came?
I'm just chilling.
Chilling in my pirate hat.
I am very glad I'm here.
But yeah, I mean, every camp has a potential, has a special ability, per se, that they can get amplified. There's a spell shield from the knights. There's the giants do extensive siege damage.
So say you're on Sylvanas and you have Mercenary Queen. If you're near the siege giants, does their range increase too, or is it just their damage?
Just their damage.
Just the damage. Okay.
Big damage.
The only camps that outrange structures are the Impalers on like the Diablo maps and the little floating mecha guys from Volskaya Industry. Yeah.
Volskaya Industries.
That protect there.
I forgot about that map.
Yeah, recipes. So they all have their own special, abilities. So it's not bad. If you take the camp, don't let it just run. Roll with it. If you have a spell armor camp, it's pretty good to go to a roll with. It's good to kind of like take some walls out with it and then get a well. Like in my mind, the priority, at least early game, is to take the wall down and get the well. Especially on certain maps, that way they don't have a tap for their objective.
Yes.
Getting that is a huge deal. Really, really big deal.
Absolutely.
And that helps with macro too. So if you take out their healing wells, they can't heal.
Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom. It all comes together. I almost went Jurassic Park theme with that, but it's okay. I like that.
All right, I don't have any other questions. If anybody has any questions in chat, speak now or forever hold your peace. Vipey Didz, I don't know if you guys have any other things that you want to throw in there.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So I could talk about tanking.
Go ahead.
About tanking. Because we kind of talked about every other role, but tanking is such an underrated thing because it's a lot of people don't like doing it, and when they have to do it, most of the times it's forced. Nowadays, I feel when you find that person that actually tanks and does it well, it's like a thing of beauty. It's like a breath of fresh air because the tank player is your compass. It's what, you know, should be calling when to initiate and when to disengage. And everyone follows the tank around, or should. They should be anyway. But tanking, the best tanking I find is the tanks that look to create smart engages. They're looking to take versus just to play passively, and actively pinging. You know, a lot of times you don't even need words. You don't need to type at all. You just need to spam your alt. You need to hold the alt key down and you need to hit one of the wheels, which way or the other, to get people's attention.
I thought it was the G key.
Or G key. Everyone does it different. Everyone does it differently.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I think, like, for me, like, you know, my entire history is I get very upset with people that are too passive. And you know, if you're, you know, looking to getting into tanking or just to like improve your playstyle, try to get aggressive. When you get aggressive, you get to discover what the enemy team plays like, how well they can play against you, what you can and can't do. And when you have that information, that leads to the rest of the game's decision making. Like in the solo lane, if you know how the enemy's playing against you, then that means, like, well, maybe I can split off after I after I clear the lane and then go help somewhere and then come back up. You know, you get to min-max your character better. But we need more tank players. I think this is what I'm saying. We need more tank players, and we need you to play aggressively.
Tidz is recruiting.
Be bold. Play bold. Don't sit on the bench. Don't let things, you know, just unfold before you. Make mistakes, play the game, and just see what you can do and can't do, and you'll learn a lot more, and you'll become a better player. Don't be afraid to take initiative.
I agree.
Yeah.
And be nice to your teammates. Everyone's having a rough day.
Yeah, yes. The Dark Nexus.
Unless they pick Lily. Then be really mean to them.
Hey, I like Lily.
No, I'm kidding.
Don't you? Except for when she's on the enemy team, then I hate her.
Hey, listen, Lily is the best tank in the game. She just takes finesse.
I have a few good clips of me not dying, and it's.
But did your team die?
No, on the Panda, it was just their entire team chasing me, and I didn't die. It was, I should find it. It was great. I didn't. No.
And no one important died.
And no one important died.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, that's all I got too. All right, you got anything else, Didz?
Well, I mean, yeah. Drafting. I think like 60% of everything is in there. No, actually, no. It's like, I'll say 50%. 50%. We'll settle on 50%. Draft well. Right. If you have to write stuff down, write stuff down. But seriously, take drafting very seriously. It's about a minute, 2 minutes of your time when you're spending another 15 to 20 minutes in it. So.
Yeah,
Draft.
and watch the last episode of Eye of the Storm that featured Trixler. We went really in depth on drafting. You can view that on our YouTube channel or in past broadcasts on HeroesHearth.
I knew there was another reason why I was saying this.
What?
It's
No,
kind
that's
of
why
like
I said it. I just knew it was gonna segue into like, oh, check out our YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of like that old saying. What is it? Where it's like, measure twice, cut once. Like if you're drafting like really thoroughly,
for sure.
Drafting will literally, like we talked about this last time with Trick, it literally will make or break the game. I feel like the draft is the game, and then the fun part is playing it. Like that's just the way it's gonna play it. You know, don't be the hard head who's like, I'm gonna hover Nova from the start, and if you guys don't go along with it, it's gonna suck, and I'm picking Murky. Like, you know. play with your team. There are times where I'll have an Orphea and I want to play this hero so bad, and then I just look at my team comp and go, it's not going to happen. And I'll swap this out with that functionality. Have something I can play that be more functional for the team. That's it. Be a very flexible player, and you will be so much more well off. At least play one thing. Like I'm not a great tank, but I know I can play Johanna and get in someone's face and condemn and hit them with the mace. Like, she's a brain dead hero for the most part. If you use her blind accordingly, you're fine. You know, that's it. Please play 2 heroes and you'll be set. You know. Yeah. Is there a party in your house and I'm not invited?
They're playing D&D.
Again, not invited.
Sorry. All right. Anything else, Dids? You look deep in thought.
I won't. What's that? No more.
How about my cat? How about my cat's fat belly that just rolled over? You see her?
Oh, I see.
Oh, look at her. She's so cute. Look at those eyes. Okay.
Oh my god. That's why you have this new camera angle. There's a cat.
Kitty. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dids, for joining us on Eye of the Storm today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Can you
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome. And can you remind us where we can find you on the interwebs?
I'm at twitch.tv AlexDidz. Okay, I'm on Twitter.
That's with a Z at the end.
Yes, that's a Z. AlexDidz. And I'm on Twitter at AlexD1DZ because I couldn't get the I.
Oh no. I can't lay back down. What? Sorry.
The kitty?
I'm just like, oh my god, it's a fat cat. I'm just like loving it. And it was licking itself, and now it's licking itself more. Oh my god. Hi, I'm Vipey. You can find me on twitch.tv/Vipey or on Twitter and Instagram at Vipey_. And you can find me here bi-weekly on Wednesdays doing things. I think we're back on schedule, correct? Yeah.
Yes, we had life get in the way, but we are back.
We did. We did.
You can find me on twitch.tv/Kagirii with 2 eyes at the end, and as well here on HeroesHearth Twitch. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our 9th episode. Please follow all of our casters and partners at HeroesHearth.com and twitch.tv/HeroesHearth. I think we do Heroes of the Storm Wednesdays all day. Wednesday, nothing but Heroes of the Storm. And you can, what Vipey said, you can catch Eye of the Storm bi-weekly on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. PST. You can also, if you have missed past episodes, view it on Twitch, but you're probably more likely going to be able to find it better on YouTube /HeroesHearth and iTunes, as well as Spotify. Spotify. Look at that. Spotify. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Bye. Dids wave bye. Bye.